God, I will buy mousepads today. So we're back with another video, and today we're gonna talk about a bunch of mousepads because I got a lot for review, and I really wanted to take my time to actually like use them and compare them in between each other and like between a bunch of mousepads that I already own. So yeah, here's a little review of a lot of pads. The first mousepad we're going to talk about is a hybrid Jacquard mousepad that I have used a lot, which is the FreeFall SV Base V2. The FreeFall SV Base V2 is a hybrid Jacquard mousepad, so the surface itself is very rough and almost has like this hybrid feel, but it leans more towards a cloth kind of feel, more than like a plasticky hard surface feel. Nonetheless, it differentiates itself a lot from a standard traditional cloth mousepad. While it does say this mousepad is control, I would say the control mainly comes from the dynamic friction. Like, it takes not a lot of effort to actually stop the mouse from like wide flicks, but in micro corrections, it's actually still faster than most mousepads. There's a 45cm by 45cm size version, but recently they actually upped it up to 50 by 50cm, which is really great for people who play with a lower game sense. The stitching of the SV Base V2 is actually immaculate. It's below the surface stitching, or like at least the same level. Like, if you glide across it, you will not feel it, and it's very high quality. And the base of the mousepad is actually a alpha cell base, which is very shiny and very sticky. But compared to other alpha set mousepads which I have, this one is actually very hard. Like, it's not really thick. I think it's 3mm of thickness, but it's extremely hard. Like, you cannot press into this mousepad, like almost no way. It's dead flat even. The XY axis speed, like the horizontal and the vertical speed, is very similar. It's very controlled in dynamic friction, but in static friction it's still quite fast. So I would say this is more of like a medium speed mousepad, but it's very high quality. If you like Jacquard surfaces, you will love this mousepad. It's very popular, and yeah, it's a great pad. The next mousepad, which I'm really excited to talk about, is the Champion's Forge Anvil. The Champion's Forge Anvil is a 50 by 42cm mousepad, which is made by the former Rainbow Six Siege coach, Sua FPS. Sua FPS actually won the Rainbow Six World Championship, I think, in 2018. I'm not sure. But yeah, he actually knows a lot about FPS games and is very close with pro players who have actually tried and tested this mousepad and different versions of this mousepad. And this is the final version. So the Champion's Forge Anvil is a control pad. A real control pad. It's noticeably slow in dynamic friction as well as static friction, but nonetheless, in static friction, it's still faster than most control pads. But still, it's very slow compared to like medium speed mouse pads like the LG Saturn. This will still be noticeably slower. The surface itself is very rough, not as rough as Jacquard surfaces or like hybrid surfaces, but it has a noticeable roughness compared to cloth mousepads. The stitching is immaculate. Like, the stitching is at least on par with Artisan. Like, it's below the surface stitching, it's very high quality. Yeah, no complaint about that. The base itself is actually quite squishy. I would say the squishiness is in between a Artisan X Soft and an Artisan Soft. So it's leaning more towards the actually squishy side. Like, if you're more into like Rainbow Six Siege or like Counter-Strike, where you don't have to like do 180s or something like that, if you just want to hold a choke, this is the mousepad to go, man. Like, if you love control pads, you have to try this out. You can also use my discount code MorTex to get a discount and help support this channel. I only used discount codes for products I completely stand behind, and yeah, it's a hard recommendation from me. Talking about lethal gaming gear, LGG was actually kind enough to send me one mousepad I was really interested in, which is the LGG Neptune. I have the regular Neptune version here, not the Pro version. The Pro version uses a different base, so I have the standard version, which is cheaper, but nonetheless, the quality is actually still really high quality. The surface is what makes this pad really unique. I don't have a mousepad that actually comes close to the surface feeling of this pad. Perhaps, at most, the closest thing would be the Artisan Raiden, but still, the Raiden has a more of like a synthetic feel. Like, it's a lot faster. Like, static friction is almost uncontrollable on the Raiden. Like, you have to have a lot of skills to actually play well with the Raiden. And I think kind of the same thing applies on this mousepad. Like, you have to be skilled with fast mousepads to actually take out the most from this mousepad. Because in static friction and in micro corrections, you will lack control. There's a noticeable difference when using dot skates or full skates when using this pad. Because with dot skates, you will actually have a tiny bit more control, surprisingly. And with full skates, this pad will feel like blazingly fast. The stitching is actually quite well, even though it's not the Pro version. The Pro version, I'm pretty sure, is still better. I don't have a Pro LGG pad. And the base of the Neptune is also really unique. I'm not really sure what kind of base this is, but it does feel like cloth and not really like smooth plastic like a PU base or anything. And I have to be honest, on my table at least, it doesn't stick that well. So yeah, if you look for a very fast mousepad that kind of resembles a artisan write-in and you don't want to pay too much, go for the LGG Neptune. And now for the first time, there's going to be a product I actually cannot give a recommendation, which is the EmberEdge KX100. I got the KX100 sent for review, and it looked quite interesting to me because the size is actually very huge. It's a mousepad that has 60 centimeters in width and 45 centimeters in height. And since I play with a sensitivity of 49 centimeters by 360, obviously I was intrigued by the size. Yeah, the size is great, but the rest is quite mediocre. The stitching is not that great. The stitching is actually like if you would have bought a mousepad from like 2018 where it's like over the surface and not very high quality. So yeah, the stitching is not great. The base is a older like rubber base, which you would also see in like older mousepads. So there's not a lot of innovation in that aspect as well. Overall, just average base. And now for the surface, which is my main problem with this pad. It's like some sort of like glass bead microfiber surface. I can't really like remember the name again. It's something with like glass beads, and the surface feels very inconsistent. And that probably is because of like the glass bead structure. It's in it of itself, but some parts of the mouse pads feel faster and some feel like slower, even though I didn't use this pad all too much because I didn't really like the speed and the inconsistencies. Yeah, I have to be honest, it's not a mousepad I can recommend yet. Like they would, like EmberEdge, I wish them best of luck with their future releases. But yeah, currently for the price of, I think 45 euros or something, as I said, the surface is very inconsistent and it's not something I would recommend using. Now we're gonna talk about some cutting boards or some glass mousepads, which is the SP004 from Wallhack, or the Skypad 4.0 if you could say it, and the Wraith Cosmic Glass V2 and the LockOn Harut. First of all of these free glass mousepads are viable and great. They just differentiate themselves mainly in speed. The LockOn Harut has sort of like a balanced speed when it comes to glass mousepads. Obviously, every glass mousepad is going to be faster than almost any cloth mousepad, but when you solely compare between glass mousepads, the LockOn Harut compared to all of my other glass pads, which I have right below me, I would say this is more of like a balanced speed. So it's not as fast as the Skypad 4.0 or the Wallhack, but it's also not as slow as the Laonda Glaze that I have and the Wraith Cosmic Glass V2. So if you want a slightly slower Skypad, which has sort of like a almost milky feel of the surface, it's not as cold to touch like the Skypad. Yeah, it's slightly slower than the Wallhack. I would say like 15%, like very like subjectively. And also the design looks great. Like if you played Kingdom Hearts, which I played a lot back in the day, you would see some resemblances with like the first room in Kingdom Hearts. If you're kind of like into that stuff, if you like the design and you like glass pads, the LockOn Harut is actually great, but I think the first batch is sold out. It was 300 copies, so we'll see if next ones will actually come out. Yeah, great mousepad. The Skypad 4.0, or the Wallhack, I'm just gonna say both names, or just Skypad, I'm not really sure. They made a brand change, which I can understand if you want to sell other products than glass pads, then the name Skypad doesn't really make a lot of sense anymore. So that was the reason for the name change. Nonetheless, the Skypad 4.0 is vastly different than the Skypad 3.0. The Skypad 4.0 is basically the fastest mousepad I ever used, and it's noticeably faster than the Skypad 3.0, but also the Skypad 3.0 is faster than the LockOn Harut as well. So I would say the Skypad 3.0 is the second fastest mousepad, and the 4.0 is now the fastest. They have changed something on the surface for sure. Like it does not feel the same. It has more speed in static friction, like noticeably, and you don't have to clean it as much as the 3.0. With the Skypad 3.0, I would basically have to clean it like every few hours, and this mousepad I was able to like use it for an entire day without actually having to clean it. The base is very, like the silicone base is very high quality, just like on the Harut. Like they both just don't slip at all across your table. Like they just stick. And yeah, if you want the absolute fastest thing you could possibly use because you're just a tracking freak and you love Call of Duty and you love Apex Legends and you just want to track, this is the mousepad. If you want to break some personal bests in Kovacs or something in tracking, this is the best pad. And now for the last glass mousepad, which I really like using, is the Wraith Cosmic Glass V2 Evil Edition. It's 45 by 45 centimeters. 45 by 45 centimeters is still like sort of okay. I can still use it with 49 centimeters by 360, but I would love to see a bigger version from Wraith. The reason why I like to use this pad a lot is because it's very unique that in terms of a glass mousepad, this is the slowest glass mousepad that I own. It does feel smooth to touch, but it has this sort of more like resistance to it. It doesn't glide as totally smooth like the Skypad 4.0 or the LockOn. It has sort of like this slight give into it, and I love it. I love it. It gives me a lot more control and micro corrections, which I lack with glass mouse pads, and that's the reason why I like to use this glass pad the most, because for my personal preferences, I want something more like slower and something that gives me like sort of like feedback and micro corrections, and that is exactly what I'm getting with this glass mouse pad. This design, unfortunately, is sold out, but the other Cosmic Glass V2s in white and black all have the same characteristics. There's a rubber feet version and there's a silicone backside version. I got the silicone feet version with 4 silicone feet on each corner, and I have to admit those were terrible. They were actually like almost peeling off, and they were not very even. Like one silicone feet was actually a bit bigger than the other one, so that caused the glass mouse pad to actually wobble on my table, which is not good. That's not good at all. Thankfully, removing those feet was actually very easy, and I found my own solution for this problem, because with no silicone feet or no silicone backside, obviously your glass mouse pad will slide all over the place on your table. So to actually fix this, I bought a silicone rubber backside with adhesive on it, so you can like easily stick it on. It was 50 by 50 centimeters, and I think I paid like 12 euros for it on AliExpress. So I just basically upgraded the silicone feet version to a silicone backside version by myself, which was easy. I will link the link to get the silicone backside in the description. Yeah, overall, if you want the most controlled and slowest and, in my opinion, most unique feeling glass mousepad, get the Wraith Cosmic Glass V2. So yeah, this has been my mousepad roundup review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will definitely make a lot more videos. I will also release an ultimate mousepad tier list with over 60 mousepads that I own, and I would like compare them and put on a tier list. So if you don't want to miss that, please subscribe, please like this video, and yeah, see you next time.